Sam give us an exhortation this morning. His topic for this morning is Who Gives Us Light? With that, he's asked us to read from Psalm 27. So reading from Psalm 27. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Whom shall I be afraid? When evildoers assail me to eat up my flesh, my adversaries and foes, it is they who stumble and fall. Though an army encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war arise against me, yet I will be confident. The one thing I have asked of the Lord, that I will seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, and gaze upon the beauty of the Lord, to inquire in his temple. For he will hide me in a shelter in the day of trouble. He will conceal me under a cover of his tent. He will lift me high upon a rock. And now my head shall be lifted up above my enemies around me, and I will offer in his tent sacrifices with shouts of joy. I will sing and make melody to the Lord. Hear, O Lord, when I cry aloud. Be gracious to me and answer me. You have said, seek my face. My heart says to you, your face, Lord, do I seek. Hide not your face from me. Turn not your servant away in anger. O you who have been my help, cast me off not. Forsake me not, O God of my salvation. For my father and my mother have forsaken me, but the Lord will take me in. Teach me your way, O Lord, and lead me on a level path because of my enemies. Give me not up to the will of my adversaries, for false witnesses have risen against me, and they breathe out violence. I believe that I shall look upon the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait for the Lord, be strong, and let your heart take courage. Wait for the Lord. So read Psalm 27. We now call on Brother Sam to speak to us on who gives us light.
Good morning. Good morning to everyone who's tuning in online as well. You guys sound really good singing up here. I mean, when I'm in the audience, you guys sound good as well, but when you're up here, you can really hear everyone, and it sounds amazing. So, I've really missed you guys. It's been a whirlwind 6 weeks. So my wedding with Shandy was easily the best day of our life. And that was just after we had found out that Shandy's visa got denied. And then this past Monday, we found out that her ESTA, which is a visa waiver program to allow you to get into the United States without a visa, that also got denied. So Shandy's like, basically, she's barred from entering into the United States for the next year or so. So I've missed you guys, and now I'm here, and now I'm about to go into missing you guys again, because I'm leaving. So I just want to say from both Shandy and myself that this ecclesia has been like home to us, that you guys have offered yourselves, who you are, your advice. You've had us over for dinner. You've let me beat you in pickleball and games. From both Shandy and myself, I really want to let you guys know that we love you guys, that this is a fantastic ecclesia, and from us as well, that RVA Light, which has been extremely close to both of us, I want to let you guys know, thank you for donating your time, your energy, your thoughts, your prayers, your money. It all goes a long way into RVA Light. Speaking of RVA Light, I want to also I'm extremely thankful that MJ and TJ are here. They came in as neighbors, and they are very good friends of mine. So, okay, before I start crying, I'm gonna actually, so I had a couple things on my mind with the wedding. I had thought about the symbology of how us collectively are married to Jesus. And then I thought with all of the kind of the whirlwind adventures of Shandy and myself, I thought maybe I should talk about Romans 8, all things work together for good. And then I looked at my screen time, because it pops up every Monday, and it was like 10 hours a day. And I was like, well, maybe I'm being convicted to talk about how lots of life is a distraction from what actually is important. And I felt God's grace, God's Spirit, Jesus, actually call me to speak about something different. But I think it's a collection of all of that, which is, who gives us light? The cheat code, since we're all here sitting in these pews, and we just read Psalm 27, is God. So from a strictly academic sense, I can sit down, because that's the answer. But I want to unpack that a little bit. I want to unpack today, during this exhortation, two things. One, what is light? What is light? And what are we in relation to light? Okay? So a little while ago, I don't know how long, probably a couple years, Brother Brad Ricks gave an exhort on light, specifically in the context of when he goes and does his caving, which is way beyond me. I can't do that. But he gets in these tight spaces, and it's pitch black, and what he says is that for him, that light is a couple things. That one, light illuminates. You know where you are, specifically in a dark cave or tunnel, you know where you are. But what light also does is it illuminates you, but it also illuminates your surroundings, where you're going. What also light does is it's a source of heat. It's a source of safety, of comfort in some ways. And from my own experience, I've never done caving, but I'll tell you about running. If you run overnight, if you run for a long time, at some point you will probably hallucinate. Probably. It's a weird feeling. But at like 2 a.m., there's two lights that are important. And if either one of them are faulty, you will get lost and you'll have a very bad go of it. So at 2 a.m., let's say I'm running through the woods. There's one light that is crucial to know where I'm going, and that's the one on my head. There's another light that's just as important that's not on my person, and that's the light that I'm running towards, specifically an aid station. And an aid station has loads of food and goodies, and it's like the most blessed thing that you can see at mile 65. There's nothing better. I'm serious. Okay? What does that mean? That our light, just in terms of a runner's standpoint or from Brad's perspective when you're going into a cave, light is the thing that guides you. It's a thing that's pointing you in a certain direction. If I'm running and there's a light this way, but I think I'm supposed to be going this way, I could very easily get off the track and go this way and get lost. In the same way, if my light is flickering and it goes out, I can't see. I'm lost. So, how does that relate to life? I'll tell you that throughout history, and now more than ever, people claim to have a light. People claim to have a source of this is the thing, the fix-it for your life. Now more than ever, we have podcasts, we have Instagram, Facebook, YouTube reels of these short snippets. If you do this thing, your life will be fill in the blank, right? If you take this supplement, you will be blank, okay? Some of us, me included, if I go a day without coffee, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing with myself. That is a light outside. There's this thing outside of us that says, hey, come to me. It's like a lighthouse or a beacon that says, hey, if you come over here and you start doing this thing, your life will feel better. But that's not the only thing that we have going against us in this life. There's also, just like, so that's the aid station, if you will. Come to this aid station, your life will be full. But there's another one. That's the thing that's blinking on our head. That is also a source of light. Hey, if you eat this candy bar, you're going to feel better. If you smoke this cigarette, you're going to feel good. If you visit this website, you will feel blank. So in our life, we have two false lights. We have one that says, go in this direction, because when you get there, you will feel good. But then we have one inside of us, because we're fallen humans, that says, hey, if you do this thing, you're going to feel good. Essentially, if you want to come with me to Galatians 5. Essentially, this is what these sources of light claim, both within ourselves and outside. They claim that if you partake, whatever it is, that if you partake, you will feel, Galatians 5:22, you'll feel love, you'll feel joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, or self-control. If you do this thing, you will feel good, you'll feel better, you'll feel complete. If we think that we don't have this as a struggle, or if we don't, if we've gotten past the point of having to endure these urges, or the urges from the world, and we think that we have gotten to the point where we can just say, I do my readings, I fast all the time, I watch The Chosen, I read Elpis Israel. If we do all these things, I have news, is that two things. So Paul tells us in Galatians 3:22, that God has bound everything under sin. Everything. And two, that we're told, and also by Paul in Colossians 2, that asceticism, and asceticism is just a fancy word of saying severe discipline of the body, that doing this, that giving into rules, I can't do this, actually has no effect at stopping sin, at stopping this desire to feel something, to fill the void that each one of us have inside of us. So in this life, we have a struggle. We have a struggle to chase after the good, to chase after what is truly light, or, and this is the kicker, or to follow something else that feels like light. They're both light. The thing that the world is selling us, or that our mind is selling us, and the thing that God is freely giving to us in His Son, promise the same thing. It's not like the world, the way of the world is awful until we're like the prodigal son. And we're not going to read it because I think that we all know what the story of the prodigal son. But here's the thing, is that the prodigal son was inside the house of his father's warmth, of his father's love, of his father's care. And it says that he looks out at a distant country. He looks out at a distant aid station far away. And he goes, you know what? I want to spend all that I have and go do that. And we get to the point where this man, it says that he's eating, or he longs. It doesn't even say he's eating. It says that he longs to eat with the pigs. And then at the end, and I love how this is just kind of thrown in there. It says, and no one gave him anything. No one gave him anything. And he got up, and he realized, it says that he came to his senses, and he went back to be with his father. But the way of the world, and the way that we think, it's not that the world, or that the perceived light of the world is nothing. It promises to fulfill what's inside each one of us. I'd like to read a verse. You're welcome to turn with me there. It's from Isaiah. So if you go with me to Isaiah chapter 50, at the end. So verse 10 and 11. Who among you fears the Lord and obeys the voice of his servant? Let him who walks in darkness and has no light trust in the name of the Lord and rely on his God. Behold, all you who kindle a fire, who equip yourselves with burning torches, walk by the light of your fire and by the torches that you have kindled. This you have from my hand. You shall lie down in torment. What I feel like God is saying there is that God would rather that we walk in darkness for a time, expectantly waiting on his provision, than to have our own torch thinking that what we're doing is right. To put it another way, just like what we read today, at the end of Psalm 27, we have David say this. He says, I believe, in verse 13 and 14, he says, I believe that I shall look upon the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait for the Lord, be strong, and let your heart take courage. Wait for the Lord. Wait for him. Now, I've read this book. I haven't finished it. It's called Practicing the Way. Live like Jesus. Become like him. There's just two passages I want to read with you. Give me one moment. All right. For those of us who desire to follow Jesus, here is the reality we must turn and face. If we aren't being intentionally formed by Jesus himself, then it's highly likely we are being unintentionally formed by someone or something else. Who are we following? Who are we putting our trust in? Who or what do we put our faith in to show the way to the life that we desire? And then again, living by faith isn't a Christian thing or even a religious thing. It's a human thing. We all live by faith. The question is, am I going to believe? Or excuse me, the question isn't, am I going to believe? The question is, who or what am I going to believe? Meaning, who or what am I going to entrust my life to? Do I really want to trust myself or any other human? We creatures seem to have gotten ourselves in the very mess that we are trying to fix. So with this understanding that the thing that we put our faith in, our belief in, the thing that gives us purpose, ends up becoming our identity, I'd like to turn to Jesus. So at the beginning, we had David, or Dan in this case, from Psalm 27, read that the Lord is our light. And Jesus in John 8, verse 12, we're told that he is the light of the world. And in John 1, verse 9, we're told that Jesus is the true light. Which means a few things. If Jesus is light, the true light, then I'm not. And no one else is. It also means we have direction. We know where we're going. And we know who we're with. Jesus tells us, or he tells his disciples and subsequently tells us, that he's not going to leave us as orphans. He tells us that the peace that he gives us is not of this world. He tells us that he's gentle and lowly. Someone very wise just recently told me, she told me, I had a temptation, and I felt like it was screaming at me. And she said, maybe that's just God whispering to you that you need to pray to him. Our mind is plastic, and sometimes I think that we think if we have an urge, we have to do it. But what I also see too is that God is extremely gracious and has given us Jesus Christ, who, as our friend, as our advocate. We read downstairs today in 2 Timothy 2 that Timothy was strengthened by the grace in Jesus Christ. That's what gave him strength, was the grace that was in Jesus Christ. We're told that the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So when my flesh is weak, when I really want to reach for a candy bar, Maybe that's when the Spirit's the strongest. When the Spirit is right there ready and willing to help me, to help us in our weakness. Okay, so we know that Jesus is light, that we're not light, that we have direction, but we also have a responsibility, right? If we have the true light, if we know the true light, if we know where that is, we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to do something within ourselves, to repent, to lean into the grace of Jesus and of God, but also to share that, to give that freely to other people, to let them know that the love, the joy, the peace, the patience, the goodness that we have comes from a source that's eternal, that will last. So we come here every Sunday to remember Jesus, to think on his sacrifice, to examine ourselves, to examine Jesus, to examine the life that he lived, the perfect life that he lived for all of us, to examine the ways in the past week that maybe we fell short, that we chased after something that is not actually light, and also to hear the voice of God or the voice of Jesus that tells each and every one of us to awake, to rise from the dead, and Christ will shine on us. The words of Jesus are faithful and true, where he says, "Come to him, all who are weary and cast down, and he will give us rest." Amen.